Raindrops falling on the street. I can't recall when I last saw the sun. Summer's just a memory, a faded piece of history.
Welcome back to another episode of the Woah Show, powered by Great Lakes Speed Shop. Make sure you go see Bud and the gang down there. Get you going real fast. Longtime supporters of us. Also, our other sponsors, new to Wonelli, or not really new this year. They took last year off, but they supported us 2 years ago. Martin Dynamics is back on board with us, helping us, put on that race. We help them get all their good photos, videos for their social media content, so go check them out. Get some of the best shock packages in the game. As I'm a photographer, I have no idea what all that's about, but they seem important. I think that's what wins races around these parts. Close Racing Supply. Make sure you go hit them up. It's right around the corner. Well, actually, I would say it is racing season around here. They got some of the best stuff for your car. Make sure you go get those. And man, I'm running out of breath here, but we gotta go. One of our favorite sponsors. They made this hoodie. They make some of the best hats in the game. Not wearing one today, because I couldn't find the one that I wanted to wear. Carpy's Print Co. Huge supporters of us. Can't wait to keep working with them this year. They're doing our checks for our races and stuff. They do it all. I learn that they do more and more stuff every single day. And let's get on to the show. Joining us for today's episode is Emily Stoyer, the Destroyer. What's going on?
Hi, what's up?
Hey, so first off, because I've always been curious, how did you get the Destroyer as your nickname?
Oh my goodness. So back when I was racing mini stocks, I used to crash a lot. I mean, I still do. And one of my friends, one night he was like, Stoyer the Destroyer. And it just stuck. Like, honestly, honest to God. Like, he just randomly said it one day. He was just like, yeah, I think that fits you. And I was like, all right. And then I think it was last year. It was the first year I put it on my car. I think, on my spoiler. Yeah. And I didn't want to put it on this year. And everyone was like, no, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. It has a nice ring to it. And I was like, all right, well, everyone likes it. So I just stuck with it.
It's one of the best spoilers. When I saw it last year, I was like, this is amazing.
I think it's...
Yeah, so...
I was like, I don't want to use it, but...
It's awesome. Some nicknames just stick, and it's catchy.
I can't get away.
Sometimes people try to force nicknames on themselves, and then you're like, dude, that doesn't represent you. But I think Story the Destroyer, coming from, beating up a mini stock to what you got now. So let's talk about that real quick. How did you get into racing start? Why did you want to start, and all that good stuff?
Oh boy, so I'm actually a third generation driver. So two of my great uncles and my grandpa raced back in the day, like late 70s, early 80s. So that's how my dad grew up around it. And my dad started racing when I was like, I want to say 12 or 13. He started racing at Lake Erie Speedway, the asphalt track. He's in the compact division, which is just mini stocks. And they shut down regular racing. And he promised me in 2015, he was like, well, you're going to start racing, but since they shut down the track, I'm going to dirt track racing. So I was like, all right, well. And 2016 was my first year in mini stocks. And I mean, been racing ever since then. So my dad definitely got me into it, for sure.
So, who is your favorite driver? Where do you get your, your inspiration from? There's a lot of guys out there that are like, oh, I want to drive, get their driving styles from somewhere else.
Right.
Who kind of like your inspiration behind all that?
That's really tough. I've always been interested, the E-mods have been my favorite division for as long as I can remember, and I couldn't even tell you why. So there's so many drivers I look up to. I think the one, recently, especially, is Dennis Longer, for sure. Yeah, that dude can drive. He's what helped me out the past 2 seasons, and, I mean, he's just a cool dude. He knows like, he knows his shit, and sorry, excuse my language, but, like, his advice has helped me, like, tremendously in his setups, and he's just supportive, like, he's, like, nice, and so I would say definitely him. I look up to him a lot, especially these past 2 years, so. But
Yeah, he's a good guy to have on your side, especially, you see that 71L up front.
yeah.
A whole bunch, doesn't matter what he's in, always picking up some wins
Oh, yeah.
here and there. Here and there, like he doesn't win like a lot.
Right.
But that's good. I like Dennis, he's been a supporter of mine for, God, at least, the very first year that I was there. I think he was one of the first people that I talked to
Right.
when, this thing started taking off. So, let's talk about last year, because I know I talked to you about this beforehand,
Yeah.
and we always talk to guys, and we talked about Caden Bush. A lot of people with a lot of really really good years. However, last year was pretty rough for Stoyer the Destroyer. And I watching that. I was at 7 a couple times where you didn't have such a good night, and you're either getting towed off or pushed off or whatever happened.
That,
So like, what? I guess we don't really get to spotlight this a lot, because about like the downs of racing. So if you want to talk a little bit about like how you've made progress getting all this, and then having that season that really throws you off. How is it trying to get through a season like that
oh,
when you just are like, oh, not again?
dude, it was awful. It was horrible. Like, I almost can't put into words. I mean, I'm very passionate about racing, and it's hard to tell people that. Like, it's hard to explain to people, what racing means to a lot of drivers. And last year, it seemed like every freaking weekend, just something happened. I mean, I was having engine problems all year, so that was a big thing. The car wasn't running right, and like you said, like, I would get up involved in some wrecks and stuff, but that happens quite often with me. But yeah, it was really hard, and it was like disheartening. I was like mad at the world, and we couldn't figure it out. And it was really hard pushing through that season. Like, it really got to the point where I was done. Like, I didn't want to show up to the track. I didn't want to race. I almost felt embarrassed. You know what I mean? Um, and I took a couple weekends off here and there, and I don't even think I had a handful of races I even finished. And I'm the type of person to get in my head a lot. I'm my worst critic. I'm like, I can't do this. It's just one thing after another. And it was like, the car would run maybe good for a couple laps, and it just bogged down, and I was just right to the back. I was like, screw it. I mean, I gotta pull off. You know what I mean? And it sucked. It really sucked. And it was like that all season. And I don't really know how I got through it, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't affect just me, it affected my parents, my team, and I just felt like I was letting everyone down, letting my fans down, my family, my sponsors especially. It sucked. It was definitely, like, I feel embarrassed, and we are hoping we figured out the issue, this off season. I have practice tomorrow, so I won't know until I get practice time, you know what I mean? We had it on the dyno, and it seemed to be okay. Traeger engines helped me out with that. And so we're gonna find out tomorrow, see if everything's good. But it was really hard getting through last season. I like, right now, I'm even just like not as excited as I used to be. And I don't know, I just hope tomorrow goes well, you know what I mean? So I'll know. It just sucks because, like, I used to be so passionate about it, and, like, now it's just like, well, what if, you know what I mean? What if it's gonna happen again? So, I mean, we'll see, but it's definitely hard getting through those lows.
Coming off of a season like that, maybe we'll take a little positive. Like, what have you really learned? Maybe not from the problems that you encountered, but kind of like how to get through it, because I feel like you see a lot of guys around here that they just unload fast and never have any issues.
Right.
And like mentally, how do you like what have been your takeaways? I guess is the interesting part because
I really had to try to shift my mindset last year because that's another big thing with me. I'm just, I guess you could say, I think very negative thoughts. I really had, this is gonna sound silly, but like my boyfriend and his family and friends, they're like very positive people, and I'm not really used to being around that. And so they've really kind of helped me shift my mindset into like positive thoughts. You know what I mean? Like if I would think I'm gonna have a bad race, or if I just know something bad's gonna happen, like the car like running like crap. There's like, Emily, well, yeah, it may happen, but like you just gotta think, positive thoughts. You just try to make like a good night out of it, and that's hard, and it's hard to explain. But I mean, it did get to the end of the, like, I don't know. I was just like, I don't know. I'd say they'd help me a lot. Like even like in the off season, they were just like, well, everything happens for a reason. You know what I mean? And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I still struggle with that negative mindset, I guess, if that makes sense. But I don't know. Like going into this season, I guess I'm trying to think, well, I don't know. It's gonna be a good season. You know what I mean? But like, think happy thoughts. I don't know. That sounds stupid, but I don't know. But
no, it's good. I'll be honest. There's been some times where I've seen, good friends of mine who, have seen success and then been on the other side of it. Maybe just the next week where they go and win their first feature or whatever, and then the next week, they're getting whether it's their doors blown off, blown through, or their car blowing up. It just happens. But it seemed like last season was quite rough for you. I know it's racing and it happens, but
right.
So hey, before we wrap this all up, thank all the people that make this all happen for you.
Oh man, I want to thank my parents for always supporting my racing throughout all these years. I couldn't do it without them. My boyfriend, his family and friends. Three 3C Graphics. I did my wrap this year. Longer Motorsports. So Dennis Longer did my setup. Mike's Hot Rod Garage. My neighbor Mike Miller. My great uncle Ron and Aunt Joyce. And Think Tire, my grandma and grandpa. Man, I hope I'm not forgetting someone. My sister Christy. Who else? I think that wraps it up. I mean, I couldn't do it without all my sponsors. I wouldn't be racing without them. This sport's a lot of money. So, I think that's everyone. Oh, wait. Steve Campbell. I can't forget about him. I think that's it. Maybe. I think so.
And for your 2024 plans, what are you planning on doing? More of the same, or are you gonna start adventuring more?
No, I'm sticking to Econo Mods, and my only goal this year is to hopefully get one heat race win and have a better mindset going into this season. So.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to see you. I know that I have Raceway 7 circled on the calendar a couple times to come see y'all out there.
Right.
It's always a trip. And hey, I know I didn't get to say it at the top of the season, but now that we have moved into the new Wonelli headquarters, which is blurred out right now because we haven't really set up the new studio here.
Right.
I keep looking around like you guys can see. It's a mess. But we're a lot closer to Raceway 7, so the choice to come out there is always going to be there. It's a little bit easier for me to get out there. So excited for that. Excited for you for your season. We'll definitely keep, tabs on y'all as we do all the people that we have on the show.
Right.
Emily Stoyer on The Woah Show. Thanks for joining.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
History, no one can remember all the fun. The midnight barbecue.